Imagine for a second a single worker. They're sitting in this heavily fortified, windowless compound somewhere in Southeast Asia and using just off-the-shelf standard American cloud software. This one person is simultaneously carrying on deeply convincing, highly romantic text conversations with over 1,000 different people across the globe.
All at the exact same time.
Right, all at once.
Right.
It is this industrialized factory of human connection, completely fabricated and running on the exact same digital rails that, we use every single day.
Yeah, it's wild.
So welcome in, or I should really say welcome to you, the learner. We know exactly why you're here. You want to see around the corners of what's happening in the world. You want to deeply understand the mechanics of the news, but you don't want that crushing overwhelm of the 247 information fire hose.
Which is completely understandable.
Totally. So you are in the right place. Our mission for today's deep dive is to explore how the underlying infrastructure of our world, both the invisible digital systems we log into and the physical systems we walk through, how all of that is shifting right beneath our feet.
And it is shifting fast.
Unbelievably fast. We have a massive stack of sources today. We're looking at a sprawling investigation into those global scam networks I just mentioned, major geopolitical tectonic plates shifting in the AI chip manufacturing world, a deep-seated crisis in education, and actually a surprisingly uplifting story about European rivers.
Something good for a change.
Right. But before we jump in, I do need to make a really quick mandatory note. Some of the source material today touches on politically charged developments.
Yes, specifically around AI regulation.
Exactly. There is a major update involving a recent request from United States President Donald Trump regarding the release of a highly advanced AI model. And we just want to be incredibly clear right up front. We are not taking any sides here.
None at all.
We aren't endorsing any viewpoints or policies. Our job is simply to impartially report the facts exactly as they are laid out in our sources, just so you have the broader context you need to understand the tech landscape.
And that impartiality is critical today, because when you look at these sources, whether it's AI regulation or global fraud, everything is deeply interconnected. We're looking at a fundamental rewiring of how global systems operate.
Okay, let's unpack the dark side of that rewiring first. Today, the Associated Press and FRONTLINE published this massive investigation into the global scam industry.
And we're talking romance cons, fake crypto investments.
And those horrific pig butchering schemes.
Yeah.
And for those unfamiliar with that term, pig butchering isn't some quick smash and grab fraud. It is a psychological long con.
Yeah, it takes months.
Exactly. A scammer builds trust with a victim over months, essentially fattening them up with fake affection and small returns on investments before slaughtering them financially and taking everything they have. It drains tens of billions of dollars annually.
Tens of billions. It's an economy on its own.
But the part that stops you in your tracks, the detail that really stuck with me, is the human element. These scam compounds are largely staffed by trafficked workers held against their will.
Yeah, which is just awful.
So what looks like a financial fraud story on paper is fundamentally a human rights tragedy.
It is a devastating reality. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, to understand how this industry scaled up so incredibly quickly, we have to look at the mechanics.
The tech side.
Right. This entirely illicit economy is industrialized using everyday, legitimate American technology. And generative AI is the accelerant here. A trafficked worker doesn't need to speak fluent English or French anymore.
Oh, wow. Because the AI just does it.
Exactly. The AI is auto-generating the responses, mimicking this perfect empathetic tone and translating it flawlessly in real time.
And the sources highlight that these compounds heavily rely on mainstream cloud hosting, standard messaging apps, normal crypto wallets. It's like finding out that the same postal service that reliably delivers your birthday cards is quietly running an international smuggling ring out of the exact same mail trucks.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
But wait, I have to push back on this a bit. Because if Visa or a major bank can detect a fraudulent $5 charge at a gas station in, milliseconds,
Yeah.
I just don't buy that massive cloud providers can't detect a server spinning up 1,000 fake AI voice clones.
Yeah, you would think it'd be obvious.
Right. So is it really that they can't detect it, or is there something else going on?
Well, that is the million-dollar question, and it actually comes down to the architecture of the internet. See, a fraudulent credit card charge has really clear financial metadata.
Like location, time, amount.
Exactly. But to a cloud provider, an AI voice clone just looks like heavy encrypted server traffic. It's just a barrage of data
Oh, I
packets.
see.
So the providers are absolutely facing mounting pressure to detect this abuse. But the line between choking off a sophisticated scammer and accidentally breaking a legitimate customer service chatbot for, say, a hospital or a bank, that line is incredibly thin.
So they are essentially hiding in the noise of normal operations.
Yeah.
But the sources also point out that scammers aren't just using tools exactly as intended, right? Like, hackers are actively breaking our infrastructure. And they aren't going after individual users anymore. They are targeting the administrative tools.
Yeah, this part is terrifying.
The briefing details this critical vulnerability in a remote monitoring software called Simple Help.
Oh, remote management tools are absolute catnip for attackers. Because think about it, schools, small clinics, local businesses, they don't have on-site IT teams.
Right, they just outsource it.
Yeah, they use remote support software so an engineer can log in and fix a printer issue from miles away. Well, hackers found a flaw in Simple Help that allowed them to bypass authentication entirely.
Meaning they don't even need a stolen password.
Precisely 0 credentials needed. Once they're inside, they drop malware like GenStealer and TaskWeaver. And we really need to explain what these do because they don't just steal passwords.
What do they do?
They vacuum up authentication tokens. So if a password is the ID card you show at the door, an authentication token is the VIP wristband you wear once you're inside the club.
Oh, wow.
If a hacker steals the wristband, the system just thinks they are already an authorized user.
So instead of trying to break into 100 individual computers, the attacker just breaks into the one remote IT tool that has the master key to all of them.
Exactly. The blast radius isn't one machine, it's the entire network.
And we see the exact same mechanism in another breach detailed in the sources today. Nissan Americas confirmed a massive employee data breach affecting 4 countries.
Yeah.
And how did it happen? A 0-day flaw in Oracle's PeopleSoft. And for context, a 0-day flaw means the vulnerability was completely unknown to the software creator. They have literally had 0 days to prepare or patch it because the hackers found it first.
And PeopleSoft isn't just some messaging app. That is enterprise HR and finance software.
Right, that holds payroll, social security numbers, medical benefits.
Everything. So supply chain risk is no longer a theoretical white paper topic. When your HR system is the unlocked door, the attackers are bypassing the perimeter completely.
Which perfectly explains why Apple is suddenly pushing out security updates for iPhones, iPads, and Macs way ahead of their scheduled releases.
Yeah, they are rushing them out.
Because they explicitly stated this is because AI is automating and accelerating how fast attackers can discover and weaponize these vulnerabilities. The gap between a flaw being discovered and an exploit being used in the wild is shrinking to almost 0.
And that realization, that everyday consumer tech and enterprise software are being actively weaponized at lightning speed, that is the primary driver for a massive geopolitical pivot.
Yeah.
Governments look at this landscape and realize they can no longer leave their technological infrastructure in the hands of foreign tech giants.
And here's where it gets really interesting. We are seeing nations desperately trying to build and control their own physical hardware and AI models.
Sovereign AI.
Exactly. If you are listening to this and wondering why a country would spend its national budget on AI, look at Japan. Their industry ministry just committed 387 billion yen, which is about 2.7 billion US dollars, with the total project expected to hit 1 trillion yen into a new company called Noetra.
That is a staggering amount of money.
And they aren't building a chatbot. They are building a sovereign physical AI foundation model.
The word physical is the key there. This is AI designed to understand and operate in the real world. We're talking robotics, automated factories, logistics infrastructure.
Because Japan has a massive demographic problem, right?
Exactly. They are facing a severe demographic crisis. Their workforce is shrinking rapidly. For them, investing 1 trillion yen into robots that can reason about a factory floor isn't some speculative tech bet. It is their core survival strategy for economic output. The AI literally is the solution to the demographic collapse.
It's fascinating how different nations approach this because let's look at China. For a long time, the American company NVIDIA was the undisputed king of AI chips globally. Unchallenged, yeah. But new projections show the Chinese tech giant Huawei is on track to capture roughly half of China's AI accelerator market this year, while NVIDIA drops to single digits. I mean, I have to ask how this happened so fast.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is one of the most striking unintended consequences in modern tech policy.
How so?
Well, the U.S. implemented strict export restrictions specifically designed to slow China's AI progress down, right?
Yeah.
By cutting off their access to NVIDIA's most advanced chips.
Right. Starve them of the best hardware.
Exactly. But that forced the Chinese tech ecosystem into a corner. Instead of giving up, Chinese developers aggressively rewrote their software frameworks to be compatible with Huawei's domestic silicon instead of NVIDIA's software ecosystem.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, by cutting them off, the sanctions actually forced China to build a completely self-sustaining independent supply chain, which just accelerated Huawei's domestic dominance.
The policy literally created the homegrown capability it was meant to prevent. That's incredible.
It really is.
And while the hardware landscape is fracturing like this, the software side is facing its own intense restrictions. Which brings us back to the impartiality disclaimer from the top of the deep dive. According to the sources, for what's believed to be the first time, OpenAI is restricting its most capable model, GPT 5.6.
Right.
Instead of the usual broad public release, they are limiting it to a strictly vetted set of users. And the company tied this structural decision to a request from President Trump.
And as a structural shift in the industry, this is massive because the default playbook for tech has always been, build it fast, release it to the public, and capture as much market share as possible.
Move fast and break things.
Exactly. This move upends that entirely. It reignites a massive debate. Who actually gets to decide when a powerful model is safe enough for the public? Is it the CEO? Is it regulators? The executive branch?
Right.
This vetted access approach creates a template that governments worldwide are going to scrutinize and likely try to replicate.
But right next door, we have the exact opposite philosophy playing out. Canada's Vector Institute just released Unbiased Plus.
Yeah, I love this story.
It's a bias detector for text aimed at newsrooms, HR teams, and developers. And it is completely free and open source. Anyone can download it, inspect the code, modify it. So, if Japan is building its own closed robotic AI, and OpenAI is gating its best models at a president's request, and Canada is pushing open source, are we watching the global internet fragment into walled national gardens?
We absolutely are, and advanced AI is now viewed as critical national infrastructure, no different than a power grid or a highway system.
Wow.
You wouldn't outsource your water supply to a geopolitical rival. Countries are applying that exact logic to artificial intelligence. Sovereign AI means these tools will increasingly reflect specific national languages, distinct cultural values, and localized data laws.
So totally different internet depending on where you are.
Exactly. There is a profound tension happening right now between the desire for tight vetted safety and the drive for open collaborative progress.
So let's take this tension over control. Who gets to use what technology and how, down to the local level. Because this isn't just happening in server farms. It's hitting the front lines of our future inside schools. And the top-down technology policies seem to be totally failing the people actually doing the work.
Yeah, the data paints a really stark picture here. If you look at the RAND 2026 State of the American Teacher Survey, burnout among teachers is markedly higher than among other working adults, with over half reporting frequent job-related stress.
And the detail that stands out to me is that classroom management and student behavior now outrank low pay as the top stressor.
Which says a lot.
Right. This is the reality of the modern, hyper-connected classroom. So what does this all mean? It sounds like handing a stressed-out teacher a brand new, highly complex AI grading tool is like throwing a drowning person an anvil instead of a life preserver.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. This raises an important question about cognitive load. The tech industry loves to build complex solutions for schools, but ed tech adoption succeeds or fails entirely on one metric. Does this tool give a teacher their time back?
If it doesn't, they won't use it.
Right. If it requires 3 days of training and adds 5 steps to their workflow, it fails.
But there is an incredible bright spot in the briefing. Because top-down punitive AI rules aren't working, some school districts are actually inviting the students to help write the AI policies.
This is such a smart approach.
Yeah, there's a story here about a parent who caught their teenager using AI to shortcut math homework. And instead of just confiscating the laptop, that parent worked with the school and the students to draft the district's first AI policy from scratch.
That is microgovernance at its best, because policies always stick better when the people expected to follow them actually help shape them.
Right, they have buy-in.
Exactly. The students are the ones navigating this tech daily. They know where it genuinely helps learning and where it's just a shortcut. And this connects directly back to the human trafficking scam story we started with.
Exactly, because it's fundamentally a digital literacy issue. Teenagers are prime targets for fake job offers and those sophisticated pig-butchering romance cons.
These absolutely are.
So teaching them practical fraud awareness, like how to spot an AI-generated voice or a manipulated text, that needs to be taught right alongside algebra and history.
Now, if we contrast that highly localized democratic control of students writing their own rules with macro-level information control, let's look at a state-level bottleneck.
Okay.
The sources detail that Iran is preparing for the largest state funeral in its history for the late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed in an attack on his Tehran office.
The logistics of this are staggering. It's a massive 6-day sequence of ceremonies starting July 4th, with burial in Mashhad, deep coordination with Iraq, and intense global scrutiny on succession, which seems heavily focused on his son, Mujtaba.
But look at this event through the lens of infrastructure.
How do you mean?
Well, major state ceremonies in Iran historically trigger immediate severe information control. We are talking about deep internet throttling, blocking messaging apps, and heavy digital surveillance.
Oh, I see.
This funeral isn't just a political transition, it is a massive real-time connectivity test. It demonstrates the extreme end of how a state manages, restricts, and chokes off the flow of information to its citizens during a critical moment.
We spend so much energy talking about digital bottlenecks, right? Policing student AI use, throttling a nation's internet, or building geopolitical firewalls for sovereign AI. Let's step away from the digital bottlenecks for a second and look at literal physical bottlenecks, because occasionally the most revolutionary and effective act is simply taking the barriers down.
Which brings us to a truly optimistic shift in environmental strategy detailed in the Dam Removal Europe report.
Yes. Last year, the continent removed a record 600-plus dams, weirs, and barriers across roughly 21 countries. In North Macedonia, they finally demolished a massive slab of wartime concrete that had choked a river for over 70 years.
70 years? That's amazing.
Right. And they are reconnecting thousands of kilometers of waterways for migratory fish. But reading this, I'm wondering about the mechanics. How exactly do we know which 70-year-old slab of concrete to blow up without, causing a flood downstream? This feels less like guys with sledgehammers and more like environmentalism powered by Silicon Valley.
Well, it is entirely a data problem now. You don't just blindly remove physical infrastructure.
I would hope not.
Right. The modern removal process relies on an invisible web of IoT sensors, fish tracking tags, drones, and highly complex hydrological modeling software.
So they model it first.
They use advanced tech to simulate the ecological outcome before a single piece of concrete is touched. And then they use those same sensors to measure the velocity of the water and see if the native species actually return. It is environmental science doing its best work by leveraging modern data engineering.
It's a beautiful concept, taking down physical barriers in nature, guided by the very same digital infrastructure we've been scrutinizing today. Speaking of those digital rails, the briefing highlights a fascinating roundup of pop culture trends that perfectly illustrate the dual nature of these massive platforms.
The velocity of culture is entirely dictated by this underlying tech infrastructure.
For instance, the World Cup is in full swing across North America, and a clip of Norwegian soccer star Erling Haaland eating at a restaurant went wildly viral. The catch: it was totally fake.
Completely AI generated.
Right. A perfect example of synthetic media riding the coattails of a live global event. But then you have real, organic cultural moments spreading just as fast, like WNBA player Sophie Cunningham becoming a viral meme praised by John Cena, or Serena Williams sharply criticizing Wimbledon's anti-doping policy, or Yellowstone creator Taylor Sheridan blasting Hollywood studios over creative control.
What is essential to understand here is the neutrality of the infrastructure.
Right.
A fake AI video of a soccer player, a legitimate debate over Hollywood creative control, and the global scam networks we talked about at the top of the hour, they all use the exact same digital rails.
That's a crazy thought.
The cloud servers rendering the Faith Haaland video are the same servers that could be running Canada's Unbiased Plus tool. The platform itself is entirely agnostic. It just amplifies whatever we feed into it at unprecedented speed.
But the briefing gives us a beautiful example of how that exact same amplification can be harnessed for something unequivocally good.
Yes, the halftime show.
The first ever World Cup final halftime show. It's curated by Coldplay's Chris Martin, produced by Global Citizen, and features an unbelievable cross-cultural lineup. I mean, Madonna, Shakira, BTS.
And the underlying mechanism of that event is what matters most.
Because the proceeds go directly to the FIFA Global Citizen Education Fund to support schooling for children around the world. It is the perfect reminder for you listening right now. Despite a heavy news cycle full of zero-day flaws, AI chip wars, and traffic scam workers, these massive global platforms can still mobilize a billion-plus people in a single moment to fund children's education. The infrastructure can still be turned towards something unambiguously good.
Absolutely.
We have covered incredible ground today. We started in the dark corners of human trafficking scam networks powered by everyday cloud tools, navigated the geopolitical chess match of Huawei, NVIDIA, and sovereign foundation models, walked the halls of schools with burned-out teachers and policy-writing students, and finally watched European rivers flow freely again, while a billion people tune in to fund global education.
As we look at all these moving pieces, especially the rise of sovereign AI, I want to leave you with this to ponder. If sovereign AI means different nations are now building their foundational models based on totally different cultural values, languages, and data sets, what happens in a decade when a student from Japan, a student from the US, and a student from China try to collaborate on a global problem using AI assistants that fundamentally disagree on what reality is?
Wow. That is a staggering thought to leave on. Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us today. Stay curious, keep looking closely at the infrastructure beneath the headlines, and we will catch you on the next one.